Hey, hello there, and welcome to Talking with Tony, now on YouTube. Previously, if you're just finding us, you had to have WOW and you had to live in the Atlanta area for the first 13 seasons of Talking with Tony. But now we're available on YouTube here for season 14. Today, we're talking college football. If you're new to Talking with Tony, it's the best in sports, music, movies. We love that. And we talk books. So if you saw the opening and you saw the books and the popcorn and all, that's the reason and all. We may even get to some of that today with our guest who's one of our college football analysts, an elite analyst in the Southeast, Danny Arp. And I believe, Danny, you are coming to us from Lagrange, Georgia today, if that's right.
I am home of the Lagrange College Panthers. So, yes, I am coming to you from Lagrange, Georgia.
Uh,
happy to be here with you today.
Danny and I are long-term friends, so long that he gave me a surprise birthday on my 17th birthday, and that was the reason why everyone knows I have virtually all the Ohio State football players' current jerseys. But I went with the 17 today of Carnell Tate, who is the number one receiver in the class of 2023, the freshman Buckeye this year. So, Danny, that's a little something fun I've been doing here. Started out with Marvin Harrison Jr. on episode 1, then I went to Emeka Egbuka for episode 2. Then I went to Jack Sawyer for episode 3, Travion Henderson for episode 4, Tommy Eichenberg for episode 5, and today Carnell Tate. But I thought, remembering back to our old days, if I can tell one more story, because there's a chance that people who know both of us are going to know this and see this, and I hope that your kids don't watch it, but I think it's okay now because they're both of adult age. But I was just reminiscing with my wife, Tara, about a story that we were riding down the road and I was taking you home from something. I don't know what it was. I think it was our senior year. It might have been our junior year. I didn't get my driver's license till a little bit after all you guys did. But you may or may not have been smoking a cigarette at the time. And we were on like Fling Road with the window down. There's great songs playing. And I'm like, you always knew who the artists were. So I said, who is playing this? And you were like holding that cigarette. I don't know, but I blink and love it. And it was When Smokey Sings was the name of it. It was by a group called ABC. But that was a long time ago. But like we are long-term friends. We had a lot of laughs back in the day.
Yeah, that'd be a good story for 80s on 8 XM radio. That's for sure.
That is true.
But I remember it. Yeah, I remember.
Art, we would ride around and do absolutely nothing on the weekends. And I would turn to you and say, like, I know everybody's at some party by a lake or something in a barn. I don't know where it is, but surely there's more to do than just listening to the top 40 as we ride around all weekend.
That was the thing to do, man. There's nothing better to do. I think it's the only thing to do in Lagrange.
And that's something that hasn't changed about us. Both of us still listen to the top 40. We just listen to it on XM Channel 8, on the 80s on 8.
That's it.
Yeah, we used to even listen. You'd stay some at my house on Sunday evenings when we were in high school. And it was it was Rick Dees. It was Rick Dees on Sunday nights. Yeah, from like 7 to 11. Well, look, got to congratulate you on something since last time you appeared on Talking with Tony a few years ago. You Georgia Bulldogs have won back-to-back national championships, and they are the wagering favorite again out in Las Vegas. And it hasn't happened that a team won 3 titles like this since Minnesota in 1934, 35, and 36. So let's face it, football was a little bit different then, and some schools didn't even have it. So I know it's unfair to ask you after just 2 games, but what are you feeling?
I tell you, man, first of all, like you said, the 2 wins were just unbelievable. 2 national championships, for us dog fans, die hard, been waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm not as bad as some of the dog fans as talking junk, but I talk some junk.
Like Donnie Lane would be a lot worse than you.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I'm not anywhere near that bad.
He calls himself the humble dog for those who are not familiar with him. But he'll post like Georgia's 16-time national champions, and I try to tell him national championships that are voted in Athens barbershops, they don't count. It's like Tuscaloosa barbershops. You've got 3, buddy. You've got NCAA recognized as 80 in the last 2 years, but he is the humble dog there.
Well, my boss at work, she's an Auburn fan, and then of course you and Terry, all big time Auburn people, and I would say y'all have changed my perspective on Auburn, I guess, a little bit, the way I behave and talk about Auburn, so maybe just out of my kindness to y'all. But Pam, my boss, did ask me, what do you think about Georgia's chances, to back to back to back? And I said back, I don't think we're ever going to lose it again. What are you talking about? That's how confident I am in the Georgia Bulldogs this year to win 3 in a row. That's all I'm saying about right there. Okay?
That's pretty
So
awesome, man.
ask me next year. Ask me next year if 4 in a row is possible. How about that?
They are on a remarkable run, and as far as the Auburn Georgia series goes, when you were at UGA for a while, and I stayed with you several times in Athens. One of those times was for an Auburn game there. When we were in high school and college, Auburn was good, had the better of the teams and the better of the series. But man, that's flipped. There was a time where Auburn led the series by 7, 8 games, and now it's flipped to Georgia 4 or 5, 6, 6 games. So it has. So we don't have too much to brag on these days. Hugh Freeze has, brought some optimism, but I've never seen a team look worse winning a football game than they did when they beat Cal this past Saturday night, 14.
Well, I watched every play of that one too.
Brutal.
But again, I attribute that to the West Coast and the travel and all. I'll be honest with you. I will say that the one that I'm nervous about, and I'm not joking about this, is the trip to Jordan Hare. I'm telling you, if anywhere we're going to slip, that's the one going in there. Was it the 30th of September? Probably be undefeated going in. Should be. And I don't know, man. That one works. It's always been a tough place to play for us. I know I got to go down there and watch one, lopsided one for us. But besides that,
38-0, if I remember correctly.
You took me with your dad in high school down there, and I had to sit and watch that beat down right there in person. So
yeah, we had some good. You were a good sport going to as many Auburn games did with me. Like when we were like in high school, and my parents had season tickets for years and years. That beat down you were talking about was 38-0 beat down though when Georgia came into Auburn. Shut them out. And but Auburn hasn't beat Georgia since 2017. The caveat there, though, is Georgia was number 1 at the time when Auburn did beat them at Jordan Hare in 2017. But we can talk with that when that week comes up. I brought you in today to analyze some games. You're very good. You're very good at it. And we'll even talk some point spreads and make some picks, both of us. But I do have to get your opinion on something that's not football related first, the Ryder Cup, and how you see the United States as they go over to Europe. It's been so long since the U.S. has been able to win it there over in Europe. And we used to dominate this thing no matter what soil they were playing on. Is this the time that the U.S. does get over that obstacle and bring the cup back?
I tell you, man, that's a tough pick right there, Anthony, because if you were Tony, I know you go by Tony on this. If you go over there, the record shows that, I don't know, you've played golf, I played golf. We've had plenty of choking opportunities. I don't want to say a professional is going to choke, but I'm telling you, they choke up a little bit, right? I think the only wild card you may have, obviously, you got a little bit of animosity with some of the picks, that were made for the captain's picks going over there. But I do think 2 things you can watch for. One, I think that Justin Thomas is going to warrant the pick. Okay, I think he's going to show out over there and be competitive, just like he has been in every Ryder Cup. Okay,
he's competitive as we record this today. He's competitive right now in the tournament right now going on.
He has had time to work through what he's worked through. Of course, he's had some bad rounds, but of course, to be terrible. Now, some of those high numbers he shot, whatever, those are awful. But I just don't know if overall, from top to bottom, if the U.S. can match up. When they get into those. The 4-ball, that's one thing. That's always, tricky way to play. But then when you get in those singles matches, I don't think they can keep up with it. I just hate to say it. So if U.S. doesn't have a dominating lead going into the singles, maybe even if they're only up by a couple points, it could be another U.S. team over there. I mean, you got Victor Hovland, top of his game. Rory playing great. Ron playing great. You got some of the wild cards, Real happens to Fleetwoods, they always play great. They may not win all the time, but when you get into a match play situation, it's going to be tough to beat those guys, man.
I like that young Swedish kid, that Ludwig. Amber. How do you say his name? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like his game a lot. Hope you're wrong. I'm a huge Brooks Koepka fan, and I know that that's brought some dissension. But I believe Koepka, even though he only played in 2 tournaments that counted towards the points, I believe he deserves it when you go runner-up at Augusta and you win the PGA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
All right.
but anyway,
Let's
that's a good pick.
let's talk some college football, and let's begin with in the SEC with LSU and Mississippi State. LSU's had some troubles with the Bulldogs of late, and you talk about a team that did not look impressive. It was a good physical game against Florida State, but the second half, Florida State really imposed their will. Now LSU is favored by 9. I suspect they will win in Starkville. I'm not sure about winning by more than 9. How do you see it?
Well, I'll say this: the LSU team that we saw against FSU, first half, like you said, physical, but it looked to me like they were overpowered. But you really don't see that when you see an ACC versus SEC matchup, at least of the years of late, right? But
Right.
LSU looks like they're a real deal down there. So I don't know how much weight you put on the beatdown they took, but they definitely, the Bengals heading to Starkville. They had the FSU beat down, then they went and just trash grabbed it, right? Looked like they got it together. MSU, they got past Arizona. They find themselves 2-0 somehow in the season's first SEC versus SEC matchup. Secondary for LSU, still too rough, man. I got to say, Rogers is going to go crazy on them. I think it's going to be 3 TDs by Mississippi State. The other dog's going to go to 3-0, man. 24-17 in Mississippi State.
So not only the points, but outright win.
Straight up money line bet on that one right there, man.
I mean, the Pac-12 has been so good. It took Mississippi State beating Arizona to stop that. Now Auburn did, later on that night beat Cal, but that's how great the Pac-12 has been. Another SEC school, yes, they are SEC, Missouri, is at home and catching 4 points to Kansas State. I'm doing real well this year against the spread. I'm 8-3, but one of my losses was Missouri last week. I gave them out as a 21-point favorite. They didn't get close to the number. I've been high on Missouri because I've got the over 6.5 wins out in Vegas for their entire season, meaning they need 7 or more wins. They're a slight underdog at home against a really good Kansas State team. Tell me what you think.
All right, both teams here coming in 2-0, right? But they both got to it in a different way. You got Kansas State has just been feasting on their warm-up games. I mean, they're winning by an average of 30 points, I think, already. Mm-hmm. And then you got Mizzou barely escaped, just like you just mentioned right there. They've covered any of that. So it's on the road for Kansas State. Mizzou's got a great defense, which is really the most shocking thing I've seen. I mean, they didn't really let anybody score a lot on them, but I thought they were going to have a lights-out defense after the performance they put against us last year. Brought most people back. And K-State's got 2 old linemen now, right? So with all that, I still say forget about it. Later 5 to K-State. Missouri, Mizzou just can't score. I don't think it's going to be a real high scoring thing, but you're going to look at that one. Anybody out there wants to look at the over-under, but 2018, Kansas State wins.
One of the biggest problems with their lack of offensive production is their best wide receiver is in Athens now, playing for the University of Georgia.
And I love seeing him every time he catches him. Yep.
Is it Lovett? Is that right?
Lovett, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So let's go to the Georgia Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are favored by 27.5 over South Carolina, playing a lot better opponent than they have faced so far this season. This took Georgia a little bit to crank up in each of the games, but once they did, they completely took control. South Carolina has had some success against Georgia. They won that overtime game that when Rodrigo Blankenship missed that field goal, but most of their success has come in Columbia and not come in Athens. And I don't think anybody will seriously tell you they believe South Carolina can win the game. Now, playing within 27 is a different story, and I think they're capable of that. I'm not sure how you see it, though.
Well, I mean, I do think they're capable of doing that. But the past, to your point, that we did lose to them, right? We missed the field goal, and then they played us close most of the time. The last couple, though, have not been close. I don't see that they've closed the gap that much on us. I know we've had a few slow starts, but we still put the points on the board. Gamecock fans are all saying it, and I think the players probably feel it. Number 1 rivals Clemson. Number 2 to them, especially their number 1 SEC rivals Georgia. And you're sort of a South Carolina guy, right?
Was raised there for sure. Went to a lot of games in Clemson and South Carolina growing up.
So I would say that the number 1 SEC rival for South Carolina is us. So they should come in hyped up, ready to go. But on us, they're about our number 5 on the list. They could play against us, right? Still, I like Rattler. I like what he does. He's scary with the ball. He's scary when he gets hot. But it's at home, and we've beaten them. Our QBs are ready to go. I feel like Beck is ready to go and light it up. Um, I pray for Rattler's health, to be honest with you. I think our D line is going to go after him because he got sacked, 9 times?
This sounds like a game where you expect not only Beck to play, but you're expecting Vandegraff and Gunnar Stockton to see some action too.
I think Dogs win it, and 42-10 is the score, man.
Yeah, so the play there would be Georgia in both ways. Washington is at Michigan State. Now, look, Michigan State's a good football team, but they are going through a lot of stuff right now. Former Georgia assistant is being investigated by university officials and all. And he says there's 2 stories to all of this, and both, I believe, need to be heard. Washington looks like a really solid football team, but they are going for a long road trip here against a team they're going to be somehow facing in the future more. But that's a story for another day, because I am totally against the realignment, as people have seen on the episode. 16.5 points, Danny. That's a lot of points. What's your feel here?
Well, again, you got to love these early matchups, right? You got 2 teams coming in 2-0, ready to go as well. You got Michigan State. They ain't forgetting the 2-0 after this weekend. I mean, that's just a fact. You got Mike Penix Jr. He's going to eclipse, he's averaging 472 yards in the air. I think he goes to town on this Michigan State team. The only wild card, to your point, is, do they get off the bus with the Save Mel Tucker T-shirts on or whatever the case may be for Michigan State, and they got some kind of, let's win it for the coach type thing. I don't see any way that they match up on the lines. I don't see how they match up with the speed. And they certainly don't have a secondary, in my mind, to stop Michael Penix Jr. I think it's, if you think they keep them 2 TDs, that's your call. I personally don't. I'm thinking it's going to be 38-21. Washington wins this one.
No, I had no feel on it. That's why I've got you here for me today. I do love the reference, though, on the Mel Tucker, Save Mel Tucker. It reminds me of the time, I don't know if you will remember this because you weren't big of a Buckeye fan as I was, but Earl Bruce had a lot of trouble beating, and so did Coach Cooper, beating Michigan. And they had already decided to fire him before the last game. And the Buckeye players all had headbands that said Earl on them, and Ohio State upset Michigan that day. He got carried off the field. They still fired him. But what a way to go out. The team was inspired to play, and they upset Michigan. So I'm with you. I don't believe Michigan State can beat them. I think Washington is good. I think the Pac-12 is better than anybody expected them to be. I am curious, though, to see what the final score will be. Vanderbilt's favored on the road again. Vanderbilt's going out to UNLV, and the line just keeps increasing. It was like 3.5, 4. It's up 5 last time I looked at it. UNLV is a team that can score some points. I was thinking maybe high scoring here. What do you think about the Commodores' chances out in Vegas?
Well, you picked a team that obviously I'm not. I don't watch them much unless it's the week before we play or really keep up with them. And actually, you got Vandy sitting here finding themselves at 1 game over 500, right? And one of the only teams probably played 3 games already this year. Surprised as anybody with the win against Hawaii. I was, to be honest with you. I checked it out. I'm like, unbelievable. But I've seen a lot of bad Vandy football, right? But they're playing better. No doubt they're playing better. You got A.J. Swan lighting it up. They made a good charge against Wake Forest. But the only problem I see is this is going to be a turnover battle. If you want to do some kind of prop, something on this, I think I don't know what the line is going to look at, what the number is for turnovers in the game. But
go over.
No, go over, man. 2 interceptions, fumbles everywhere. This is going to be who doesn't dirt their way out of a win, right? So it's going to be a game of hopes and wishes. That's what I'm calling this thing. And I say Swan probably matches his 2 turnovers. And believe it or not, I'm going UNLV. Again, I know I'm crazy with the money lines. I love that. But I'm going UNLV 28-24, man.
I could see that. There'll probably be more Vanderbilt fans there, though, that are at home games, because Nashville is a Knoxville city. Vanderbilt grads don't stay in Nashville. They're all up the Eastern Seaboard and working in the New York districts and stock market and Wall Street. They've got plenty of money to travel to a fun place like Vegas. I think they'll have a decent contingent, more than they generally have. But I can see your prediction coming to fruition there. This is probably the SEC game of the week. I think without question is the Vols and the Gators. I'm going to go ahead and give my pick, because this is one of the ones, and I'm scared that this is your 5-star pick and we're going to be on the opposite side. But is this your 5-star game? First of all, let me ask you that.
Yeah, this is my pick of the day, right? This is my
Oh
five.
boy. Okay, we may be on the wrong side here because I'm on the Gators. Something about the swamp, something about bothers me. Tennessee, I was having a discussion this morning at a coffee shop with someone. He was telling me about how explosive Tennessee is, and Tennessee was going to hang 40 on the Gators in the swamp, and that they just had athletes after athletes after athletes and a lot of depth and all. I just they may win it, but I'm taking the points for the Gators. I think I think Utah is better than anybody realizes, and that's a tough place to go out and play football, and you have the altitude and all. And we've talked about how good the Pac-12 is. So my first selection of the day that I'm putting down is I'm going with the Gators and the 6 points.
So it's down. Was it 6.5? So it's 6 now, I guess.
I'll take the half if you want to give me.
Man. That's what I saw it at 6.5. You know.
Okay.
And I see your pick there. I see your rationale. I see why you're going that way. It's the swamp, right? You got Tennessee going in there, hadn't won since 2003, right? 20 years, 2 decades of this thing. You know what it is to me, AJ? This is like Tennessee picked up Mark Richt's curse of playing Florida, right? It didn't matter who the coach was, who the team was, who's the QB, who's running back, or your lineman. It doesn't matter. Tennessee was going to lose, right? No doubt about it. But I'm telling you, man, I watched enough Vol Twitter, and I know they're a bunch of nutcases on Twitter. But I think they're ready. Forget the Austin Peay game. I'm not worried about what they did right there. I think they're going to go into the swamp. I think they're going to jump on Napier's team, who is just, I'm sorry, man, they're just in disarray. I don't care what they did against State. State. They didn't look good against Utah to me. I'm going to say Vols win by 14, man. 35-21, Tennessee finally gets the monkey off their back.
Well, one of us has to be right because that's my first of the day with the Gators. He's going with the Vols. I'll say this. The Vols were really good to me last year. I picked them against Alabama, and that worked. I picked Georgia against Tennessee when Tennessee went in as the number one team in the country. They were not the number one team in the country. And then I was able to pick them correctly also in the Orange Bowl against Clemson. So I've been reading them pretty well. Maybe that was last year. Maybe I'll misfire, and certainly you're the expert. I've got some college games to run down that I have chosen. Actually, it's just as I look, it's just 2. Game I'll be attending. Thank you for being able to fly private tomorrow. I'm going up to Columbus in the morning for Western Kentucky and Ohio State. Ohio State is favored by 30. I'm going to go with Ohio State because they have been less than impressive in both of their games. The defense was really good against Indiana, but I think they get well here against Western Kentucky, and I'm going to lay the 30 points as my second selection. You can I know I didn't give you this game to look at, but you're more welcome to opine.
No, I mean, I think that it's going to be the coming out week for Ohio State to go ahead and cement themselves as one of those top 4 possible playoff contenders. I think they win it easily, man, maybe even 42. So,
and the other college game that I have my interest on is Penn State and Illinois. And Penn State, I know it's a great football team. They're going on the road against a team that plays pretty good defense, in my opinion. Penn State's favored by 15. I think that's too many points. So I'm going with the Fighting Illini, and I'm taking the 15. How do you see it?
I don't know, man. I would take Penn State, and I would say they cover that, man. I mean,
Okay.
I know I get your point. I see what you're saying. They're going to road trip, but I still think they cover that. It's not quite big enough not to, for them not to cover that, if you ask me.
Okay, well, one of us will be right once again there. I will say on the Kansas State-Missouri game, and I know you like Kansas State there, I'm not necessarily picking Missouri, but if they're going to cover, I would really like to see them win so I get another victory towards that over 6.5. I think you completely understand where I'm coming from there.
Yeah.
And I've got some NFL selections as well. The Giants could not have looked worse against the Dallas Cowboys in their opening game, Danny. They were shut out 40-0 at home. Now they're road favorites by 4 when they go to Phoenix to face the Cardinals. I believe in ability to be able to rebound, get a whole lot better between week 1 and week 2. And the Cardinals aren't a very good football team. How do you see this?
The only question I got for you is, did the Giants really lose 40-0?
They really lost 40-0.
until I see something different on paper, I just don't, or on the screen in front of my face, I have no way of deciding whether to pick. Don't, to your point, they should win the game, right? They really should. I mean, there's even talk of the Cardinals just trying to lose every game, right? They're so dang bad.
Yeah.
But when is the last time that happened? 40-0. How many shutouts are there in the NFL every week? And how do you lose by 40?
I remember when we were kids, Monday Night Football in 1978, the very first game of the season, the Colts playing basically they played without Burt Jones, who was a great quarterback, opened up the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys on Monday Night Football beat them 38-0. There was a 1 hour special on the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders from 8 to 9, and then the game was on at 9 o'clock, and the Cowboys beat the Colts 38-0. I can't remember another time that 40-0 point, but I just don't think the Giants are as bad as they looked. And a lot of people play these eliminator contests, including myself. I was fortunate enough to get the Commanders past, who we often refer to as the Redskins on this show. I was lucky enough to get Washington past Phoenix. The Giants is my eliminator team. That's why I wanted to ask you about this. But it sounds like until you see them do something, it's hard for you to take them.
I'm telling you, I couldn't even believe it. I mean, I really could not believe it. So we'll see. I mean, I'll go with you on that one. I feel what you're saying. You're a lot better sports prognosticator than I am, but I don't believe it.
I just need a W. I don't need them to win by more than 4, but I just need to stay alive in my eliminator. Here is one of my selections. I'm taking the Texans, favored by 2 at home against the Colts. So obviously, I'm a C.J. Stroud fan. I believed in the Texans last week, and they were right there until through 3 quarters with the Ravens, and the Ravens wore them down some. The Colts had every opportunity to win their game Sunday, and they weren't able to do it. Now they go to Houston, and I like the Texans in this spot.
Yeah, I think you got the right pick on that one. I mean, the Texans are going to win it. I feel pretty good about them coming out and playing the game that they can play, right? And I think you said that C.J. Stroud is going to be something else, man. That guy really, really impressed me last year.
No one has done to the Georgia defense what C.J. Stroud, Marvin Harrison, and Ibuka did. Him and his two leading wideouts. I mean, just nobody has done. We haven't seen anybody have that kind of success. My final selection is courteous of my New Orleans correspondent, Ashton Smart. She does all things New Orleans, especially the Saints. Monday Night Football, we're going to have 2 games this week. One of them is the Saints by 3 at Carolina. I had a long conversation with her about this, and I said, do the Saints go in there and get this done? She said, absolutely no way. So that's another pro pick for me. I'm going with the Panthers +3 because Ashton tells it like it is. And if she's saying Panthers, I'm going with the Panthers. How do you see it?
I mean, if she's that dead set on it, she's hardcore, she's probably making the right pick. But, I personally think that, just me, the Saints could pull this off. I mean, I don't know. The Carolina Panthers did not look good to me last week, right? I get to say the Falcons look better or whatever, but I just don't know. I mean, I think the Saints could go in there and win that game, but we'll defer to the Saints fan who says no way in heck. So we'll go that way.
Okay. And then the Falcons. I have to get you to talk about the Falcons and the Packers. This line opened up about even, and a lot of money's been pouring in on Atlanta. Atlanta favored by 2.5 points now in most markets. There's some excitement after the opening game win over the Panthers. Do you think Atlanta goes to 2-0?
I think Atlanta goes to 2-0, man. I mean, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium hasn't rocked like it did this past Sunday since the Rolling Stones were there with me in 2021. You know what I'm saying? It was a rocking place. It was, some pictures coming out originally saying, oh, nobody's on, nobody's here, they ruined it. And that place filled up, and then the wind vitalized the place. And again, being from Georgia, I mean, who wouldn't want to see the Falcons do well? I like it. It seems to be better when everybody's happy about it. I can't do it myself with the Falcons after they devastated me with that 28-3. But, I do like it when they're winning, and I hope for everybody's sake that they do go 2-0. And I think they can go 2-0. There's no doubt about it.
Better venue to see a concert, Mercedes-Benz there in Atlanta or DT's down under downtown in Athens back in the day when you were at Georgia and we would visit there some. And then, of course, I lived in Athens in the late 90s myself.
No doubt about it. Athens is better, man. The Stones and Mercedes-Benz almost burst in my eardrums. I know I'm an old man or whatever. It was it just echoes too much in Mercedes-Benz. I'll never go to another concert there. I hope.
All right. So here's my 5-pack, and we're going to post them up for you. But I'm going to take Illinois plus 15. I've got the Florida Gators plus 6. We're going to come right back to that game. Ohio State minus 30. The Houston Texans minus 2. And the Carolina Panthers plus 3. We need to note that Danny's five-star play is the Vols. We're against my Gators. He's got Tennessee minus 6, where I have Florida plus 6. He does agree with me on Ohio State. He's on the opposite with Penn State, Illinois. He's with me with the Texans, and hesitantly, he joined Ashton and I with the Panthers, which I can completely understand. Danny, in turn, likes Mississippi State in the 9 points against LSU, Kansas State minus 4 against Missouri, Georgia minus 27.5 against South Carolina. Danny, Washington minus 16.5 or Michigan State plus 16.5. I know you believe Washington wins.
Washington minus 16.5.
Okay. UNLV with the outright upset against Vanderbilt plus 5. He loves, like we said, the 5-star pick is the Vols minus 6. He's got the Falcons to get by the Packers. They'll need to win by 3 or more there. And he likes the Cardinals plus 4 from Brett, although we just want the Giants to win.
Yeah, we'll take whatever you need, Anthony, but I do think we got that one.
If I'm eliminated from the eliminator contest in the second week, Danny, do you know how depressing the rest of the NFL season's going to be?
It's going to be a lot. I wish I'd have known that before I put the jinx on it.
No, you didn't put the jinx on. Our producer today is Jake Barton, and he'll be letting me know shortly about how much more time we have. We have 5 minutes. And Jake, I want to thank Jake. Jake's working hard here on the show. He's in Noonan, Georgia, and Danny is in Lagrange. I'm in Auburn, Alabama. Who do you think Tommy Harrelson would have picked on that Saints Panthers game? Bubba Harrelson.
I don't know. Do you even think he watches?
Oh, he actually has found some old episodes. I don't know if it was on YouTube or he was going through parts of Atlanta that had it, but he's found. The reason I did that is I wanted you to kind of go back. You told a great story that I lived it, but when you appeared on Talking with Tony about 3 years ago, you guys ran against each other. I believe it was senior class president, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, share with the audience today, because there's so many people that didn't have access to WOW then, which what you had to have to see the show previously. Share that experience, and you can put the G-rated version on it in case he does watch.
Yeah. Well, of course we're talking about Tommy. He was the class president, from 9th grade, 10th grade. He moves off, so then I somehow inherit the class president for the 10th grade from vice president. So we get to senior year, we're going to run. And he says, I'm going to run it. He didn't run in junior year. And I was like, why are you running, man? I've been the president for 2.5 years now. Oh, no, I'm taking you down, man. You've done nothing, This guy ran the dirtiest campaign, man. It looked like some stuff in the real political field out there. He's pulling up dirt on me from however knows anyway, So we had him. We had a guy named Kirby. And there was one other person running.
John Kirby, right?
Kirby. Yeah. Tommy Guerrero were running.
Tommy Guerrero.
Once it got dirty, I made posters up and I put it all down the little wall of the library. I don't know if you remember, you walked between A Hall, B Hall past the library, and I posted it. And it said, one of the posters said, Tommy Guerrero knows wrestling. Because he was, second in state wrestling. John Kirby knows science because he was the genius. And Bubba Harrelson, which is Tommy Harrelson you're talking about, I said, Bubba Harrelson doesn't know anything but how to lie and cheat and steal. I said, vote Danny Art, your proven president, Man, that guy was so mad at me. But I won, so I guess the dirty tactics paid off with the win.
And I can remember at our 10-year class reunion, and it's the president who basically is in charge of those kind of things. And me and my girlfriend at the time were out because I was single and had not been married as of yet, obviously not met Tara. And we were dancing beside you and Jana. And I had a great time. I just flown in from Los Angeles and all to be there, had an apartment in Athens, but I'd been out in LA. I turn to you guys and go, this is so much fun. Can we have an 11th class reunion, next year? And Jana looks over at me and she goes, hell no. And I'm was like, I was crushed. She worked hard though that night. They'd run out of silverware and stuff, and having to wash dishes and all. And Janet was like, participating in some of that, doing all that she could to make it enjoyable for everybody. But you guys were against an 11-year class reunion.
I know, man. I was against that one, 11, against the 20, the 30. I mean, we had to do them, but I
Well,
guess we
some
got
people.
5 years. Somebody's actually wanting to do a 5-year one coming up, or a 35-year one coming up.
Well, we're not young anymore, so it might not be a bad idea if you want to see some of those people. You and I are on a text message exchange with 3 of the other guys that we graduated from, and there is no question that you and I do less than anybody else on those 5 people. Text messages exchanges, even to the point where occasionally we would text each other going like, what in the hell are they talking about now?
Only we chime in is something really serious. Otherwise, you're not getting much out of you or you or me on this thing.
Yeah, but they're great guys, and I could name them, but if they see it, they'll know what we're talking about. And they'll know that we're in good sport. I've got about 45 seconds left, Danny. Any other game on your radar today that you're looking forward to this weekend? Just monitoring.
Ask you about one game. I started the year off and went to the kickoff classic, Louisville versus Georgia Tech. Watched Louisville stage a massive comeback, right? What do you think about Louisville, Indiana this weekend? Who I thought Indiana played your Buckeyes real tight, right?
Yeah, I did. I think that there's some spirit though out of those guys now, and I sort of expect Louisville to win by 10 or more and win comfortably.
Yeah, I got the same feeling. I just that's the sort of my surprise ACC team this year, so I'm hoping for a win.
So this is sort of impromptu, Danny, but since both of us see this Louisville and Indiana game the same way, we'll call this the Tony Danny special and take Louisville -10, because I think you're onto something there. Florida State looks extremely impressive, and Clemson will be a lot better than they were. North Carolina is a factor, but I said 3 or 4 episodes ago, don't overlook Louisville. They have a lot of talent coming back, a lot of personnel coming back, and a really, really good football coach. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick, man. I mean, I think that's a good one to watch. Louisville's a team to watch. They don't have to play Clemson in the regular season. They don't have to play Florida State in the regular season. So if they can just get past, the few goofy games, they got to beat Notre Dame, obviously. That's a big one. But I think they can make a run for the ACC. Not that Notre Dame would count against their ACC record, but it would count against their playoff hopes if they got on some kind of miracle run with Braun back.
I think that Notre Dame is going to be issues for Ohio State. I like to try to tell people like it's about matchups, and I think that's going to be a bad matchup for Ohio State facing Notre Dame. Alabama had a bad matchup with Texas, and Ohio State could be in a similar situation to Alabama. Like if you lose early, that's okay, but it's going to put a lot of pressure on you to either win outright or win that conference championship game. For Alabama, say they run the table, and that's easier said than done. They've got some hurdles still to climb. That would, to me, require them beating Georgia in the SEC championship game. If they were to lose to Georgia, I don't see them in the college football playoff. In fact, I think Michigan and Ohio State, who both made it last year, would be in a better situation to get 2 teams from one conference than the SEC. But look, tons of football left to be played, and I will not be surprised if Ohio State loses to Notre Dame. I also don't think people should be jumping off the bridge that love Alabama, because that's one football game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen what Nick Saban's been able to do. He's lost and made comebacks plenty of times before. He's had, until he proves me wrong, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, unlike all the Bama fans that are giving him zero benefit of the doubt. But, yeah, that guy can make a run, no problem.
Want to mention that one of your daughters, Allie, was same cheer team as my little buddy, Annie Foley, who goes to Auburn and just got engaged to Fuller. I want to congratulate them. She has just been such a welcoming thing for Tara and I. We love every visit with her and all, and can't get enough of her. They're in a great situation. She comes from a wonderful family. Allie is, I believe, at UGA right now. If I'm wrong, you'll let me know. I want you to talk about that, but I also want you to give an update on Blakely, because this was a scary situation. She was headed out to Maui basically at the same time these fires took place and all. So we were concerned. In fact, you send us a picture of like where she's going to be staying in this beautiful condo and all. And then next thing you know, this fires, happening and all. But what a talent, what an incredible Division I career golfer she had, and career she had, and she's gonna still do some fun things in golf and in her life as well.
Oh yeah. Well, just on Allie, she is at Georgia, right? This year, being the junior, she didn't get the tickets like she got, all the other ticket packages, but she's going to go to, quite a few games. She's always been a little dog fan, but she's enjoying it. Got her little job working in the PM. So Athens is being good to her now. So, and she's really enjoying it. So just like you and I always loved Athens. But Blakely did get moved from Maui. The apartment that I sent you a picture of burned to the ground.
Mm.
Maui on fire. The store that she was going to work at burned to the ground. So they did move her to the other store they had on the Big Island, and she's doing great over there, man. She's supposed to be a 7-month internship. Now she's gotten promoted just in 2 months to the manager of one of the stores. So she may stay over there for who knows, man. She said, "Hey, Dad, Hawaii, man, that's my vibe, man. I'm telling you, it's my vibe." I was like, "It's anybody's vibe, Blakely."
Yeah, it's like if they do one of those like paradise shows, it's easy to fall in love over there in Hawaii. I mean, that's where we went on our honeymoon was Maui, and I was like, man, this like 8 days went by in a hurry,
I just feel it over here. I was like, yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm wearing my Hawaiian Georgia shirt, in honor of her. But
Now
yes.
you took the fam over there, and they were filming some like Hawaii 5-0 and stuff like when you were over there. And is that why she that experience, was that what drew her out there?
This store really, AJ, is just I can't really, I don't want to say the name on the show here, but they have stores in Key West, San Diego, Utah, and then they have 3 of the islands in Hawaii. As a dad, I was sort of hoping for San Diego or Key West, so I could get there a lot easier. But that's why that's where they assigned her, man. So it worked out perfectly for her. She obviously wanted Hawaii, so.
Well, I'm obsessed with San Diego, so I'll go out there with you. And then Tara's obsessed with Key West, with the whole Hemingway factor. So she would go with you to Key West. So we have the areas covered.
Yeah, we could definitely do it. I'd love to see her get the Key West assignment. We would all go down there all the time.
Okay. As we wrap it up, over under for time we would get our next group message text from the other 3 guys.
2 days. I'm saying by end of day Saturday, they'll have sent something out. John will be like, "What's all the fuss about?"
He's like, "I'm out camping."
I'm 7 miles to my camper. Hey, look, John's best shape than anybody I've known at our age, right? I'm not knocking the guy at all. He's in fantastic shape, but I'd rather sit around football myself.
You remember that like television series Lost? And I feel like we're just having a conversation now. There was that Richard character or whatever that never aged. I mean, that's John North for you there. He sold his soul to the devil, and he looks exactly like he did when he graduated from high school.
He still got the hair swirled, the whole 9 yards, man.
Yeah, what we ought to do is show up at where he plays trivia on Tuesday night, and you and I just take him on like his whole thing.
Just go and battle out him and his.
And see who comes out on top.
I think they'd waste the state. They're like trivia geniuses over here. So.
I'll put my 34 on the ACT to the test. All right, you know what I'm saying?
If the question was sports or movies or songs, we would probably be good.
That's it. Just like my opening, man. I know sports, I know movies, I know music. I know. It's about it. But it's, especially the music. And I know the books, of course, as well. Yeah. Hey, Danny, I really appreciate it. I've had a great time. We probably lost our audience about 4 or 5 minutes ago, but we had a good time visiting back and forth with each other. Certainly one of my favorite episodes.
Yep, I certainly appreciate the invite. It's a lot of fun. This is always great. I envy what you do. I love watching you on here. Definitely think a lot of what you do with sports. And like you said, wealth of knowledge on other stuff too. So I appreciate the invite, man.
Just come back in a few weeks. Let's don't wait 3 years to do it again. Okay.
Don't wait long. We'll do a couple of weeks from now, maybe because I think the 23rd is going to be a big weekend next week.
It is. It is. Yeah. All right. Well, and if we don't predict them, we'll wrap them up. We'll do a show wrap them up. But it's sure is fun to predict, so we'll look to that. For Jake Barton, our thanks to Jake. Our thanks to YouTube for allowing us this platform. And my thanks to Danny Arp in Lagrange, Georgia. That's all the time we have for Talking with Tony. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 6 of season number 14. We'll see you soon.